Anyone ever heard the parable of the blind man and the elephant? You guys heard this one? 3 blind men fall into a pit, and there's an elephant in the pit. And the parable is communicating that the elephant is God. And so these 3 blind men are trying to figure out who God really is, what God is really like, just like they're trying to figure out that elephant. And the one blind man feels the tusk, and he says the tusk is kind of, God is like smooth and hard, but sharp. And then the other blind man feels the leg, and he goes, no, God is tough and scaly and heavy and strong. And the other blind man has the tail, and he's like, God kind of stinks, and he's wiry and hairy. And then the point of the parable is to say, well, all 3 blind men have a little bit of knowledge about what God is really like, but God is so big and so great that no one can really know what God is like. And so what you should do is just be humble and not claim that you know everything about God, because God is perfectly unknowable because how big He is. Anyone ever heard that parable? Pretty common parable. The idea is to say, well, Christians are too narrow-minded to say that Jesus is the only way to heaven. The only problem with that parable is the narrator of the parable seems to be able to see the whole elephant. He's the only non-blind person. So he's saying no one can make exclusive truth claims about God because no one can see what God is really like, but he himself claims for himself, I'm able to see everything. So that sounds like a pretty exclusive, closed-minded truth claim. The claim that you can't make exclusive truth claims about God is itself an exclusive truth claim about God. There's a problem with that line of thinking. The other problem with that line of thinking is it doesn't account for the fact, what if the elephant speaks? What if the blind men are in the pit with the elephant and the elephant is like, I'm an elephant? Then the blind man can hear and they can say, well, this is an elephant. I only feel a part of the elephant. And that's what Christians believe Jesus has done. Jesus has spoken for us what God really is like. That God has revealed who He is and what He's like and how He feels about the world and His love for us and redeeming us and saving us. And as He has spoken that word, not just through words on a page, but through a living word, through the person and the work of Jesus Christ, that God spoke through Jesus. And if Christians believe that, it's not arrogant. It's not because they're morally superior. It's not because they think they know something other people don't know. All they're saying is, we believe God has spoken in history clearly, and when He spoke, He said things like, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father through me. And then He validated those claims by raising from the dead 3 days later. And so it's not an arrogation to believe Jesus is the only way to heaven. It's just an implication of the nature of who Jesus is. If you want to believe in Jesus even a little bit whatsoever, then you have to take all of Jesus and all of His claims, and some of the claims that Jesus made were exclusive truth claims, that there isn't any other way to know God or be saved except by grace through faith in me.